Are you curious about the vacation rental market in Coeur, Idaho? Well, welcome to North Idaho Experience. In today's episode, Dave and I sit down with Kevan Turner. He runs Simple Warm Stay, a vacation rental management company here in Coeur d'Alene, and he is doing things quite a bit differently for his clients. So stick around and listen to that. He's got an excellent business model. We talked about plenty of other things, including politics, of course, masculinity, fatherhood, the upcoming Idaho Court Watch that we're working on, and lots of other excellent topics. Hope you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're thinking about making the move up here, give our real estate team a call. We specialize in helping conservative families find their freedom right here in North Idaho.
All right, dude. So Kevan.
Yes, Kevan.
Kevan, spelled with an A.
That's right.
Pretty excited to have you on here today. The one guy I know that still wears suspenders and jiu-jitsu connoisseur.
Oh, absolutely.
Blue belt.
Can't
Donut connoisseur, who I just ate one of the best donuts I think I've ever had from Lantern Donuts up here. That was, thank you.
They're down on Sherman. Wait, you gotta, you
what?
check them out.
I'm going to go back on it. I'm just saying.
But what makes them different?
They got organic ingredients, no seed oils, no artificial anything.
I love it.
World-renowned pastry chef that's making these things. It's a whole nother level. Like, it's worth trying. It's worth going.
Oh yeah.
This place is shooting for the stars. They're trying to be a Michelin-rated restaurant dining experience eventually. So
no way.
Yeah, you're gonna have that here in Coeur d'Alene.
That's crazy.
So,
dude,
yeah, it's shooting
good.
for the stars.
That was different. Everybody's like, oh, Krispy Kreme. Dude, I took a bite out of that. And I'm like, I'll never eat a Krispy Kreme again. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That pretty much outsold everything.
Fantastic.
So, donut connoisseur, and then most recently, and how we met you is that you own and operate. Well, not own and operate, but you manage short-term rentals mainly.
Correct.
And Airbnbs.
Correct.
And we had you into our brokerage. There's a lot of people that manage Airbnbs, and Coeur d'Alene being a resort community.
Yeah.
There's tons of people that come up here to buy those vacation rentals, or even locals that want to have an investment property and have something that's going to turn an income down the road or even immediately. You came in and did a presentation, which blew my mind. I'm like, I want to partner with this guy. I'm like, this is way better than what I've seen out there, right?
Yeah.
To see what you guys are doing with Airbnbs, how you deal with clients. I was also super impressed when I asked you, I said, hey, I have clients looking to buy an investment property. They'd love to know your take on how this would rent. And usually I get hey, this could, generate this amount of income per year. And you sent me an email and I'm like, good Lord. Like, it was so detailed and so direct. I loved it, and seeing what you guys do. So excited to see what you guys have planned and kind of what's different with how you guys manage properties.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, you guys. It's an honor to spend time with you guys, just be around you and brush shoulders with you. It's that iron sharpening iron experience, and you guys are serious iron. So
thank you.
Appreciate you guys. And our business is Simple Warm Stay. We did that presentation for you. And I think the connecting point for us, I think why it resonated is because you guys are North Idaho Experience. And what we're really all about is creating unique experiences. So we realized early on, we started in 2022, and we found out, like, just doing a lot of research, getting into YouTube University, learning everything we could from a few mentors, Rob Epsalo being one of them, and Sean Ratgedich for another. Just seeing that the outlier that makes people stand out is not just trying to make a profit, but you're actually trying to create memories for people when they go stay at a place.
Right.
And so how can you curate that, distinctly make it unique? And Airbnb standards are so high nowadays, like short-term rentals across the board. You can't just throw up your couch on Airbnb and see that it's going to make a profit. So we really strive for that. We call it excellence made simple. So I really love simplicity. You see that in design. You see that the way God's creation is. It's like he doesn't overdo anything. And I want to really be replicating that with our model as well. So simplicity doesn't come just from the first iteration. It comes from multiple tries and perfecting things. And we're very relational too. So like our whole team, everybody that we work with, we try to just pour into it as if we're our own stewards. We're stewarding someone else's home. We're stewarding, whatever their investment is. It's one of the most significant investments. You guys know it well. So yeah, that's the goal, is just striving and really aspiring for just helping people really get something out of it and feel like they're heard feel like we're working with them. And
well, it was neat to see. We're going to Australia here pretty soon, and Seth has some anxiety of flying on the big old plane. But
yeah,
how dare you?
Don't mention that.
I'm like Alex Honnold, dude.
Yes,
My amygdala
the man with no fear,
like calloused, bro. Calloused.
He does not like flying, but it's okay. We're going to a place that we found that we can pretty much be killed by anything. So,
and Dave picked possibly the single longest flight in the history of
how many hours is it? It's several
15
days.
and a half on the way there.
Yeah.
But because the earth is round, John, it's only 13 and a half on the way back because, we're going
Well, that's
against the
something to
grain
look
here.
forward to.
Yes.
I'm going to go to sleep for 8 hours because I'm going to take a bunch of Xanax,
Yeah.
truth be told. And I'm going to wake up and I'll be like, holy shit, I got another 8 hours to
Yeah,
go.
you will.
That's shocking.
So we're, but we're right now we're evaluating and looking at Airbnbs over in Australia, and we had to book a bunch. And just looking at the photos, I was looking at them and I was thinking about the photos you showed us that you take that are not just, not just here's the living room, here's the kitchen, here's the bedroom, which are super basic, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and I'm almost looking for that, like, what is going to make this a memory?
Right.
And I wasn't seeing it. And so that was something that I was really interested in, is the way you take the photos to create the ambiance and create the experience that you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where people are going to enjoy and feel comfortable there and how it's going to be a memory. I didn't see that when
Yeah.
we were like,
Okay, I missed the presentation, but the fact that you impressed Dave, it's very hard. I've been trying to impress Dave for years now.
you impressed me.
He
all the
told
time.
me. He told me he was impressed. Yeah.
Very impressive.
And so are you doing are you staging the photos? Are you having families in them?
Great question. Yeah. So that's actually a popular trend nowadays, is having people involved in the photos too. We haven't got into that just yet. I think that's a really great approach. You obviously have to model and get people that look good and have all the setup.
I know some guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And I think
John and
looking at
Austin,
you.
not us.
But yeah, like there's ways to set up, like, say, no offense to realtors and selling homes, but the point of it is to show the space and the wide angle as much as possible so that you can really envision all the things you could do. But in Airbnb, it's more granular. Like if you're setting up a space, you want to see, what does it look like to have a coffee out on the patio in the morning? What does it look like to stay up and have late nights around the fire? What does it look like to, like if you're meeting people, having a reunion, how are we going to have that special time where we could have a few whiskeys and just hang around, So trying to really curate that and focus on that. And I think those are the things that really trigger people when they see those photos and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. They don't even know it when they're looking, but it speaks to them.
It does. It feels like you're in the photo.
You're
Yeah.
telling a story, right?
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
I mean, when we take photos, like, all right, this is the whole living room and you're standing back. It's not like you're part of it. You're just kind of looking around and trying to take everything in, versus when you see that up close chair and you see that steaming cup of coffee, you're like, I'm here right now.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What I wanted to talk about the short-term rental market in the Coeur d'Alene area, because a lot of people have questions about that. Does it vary city by city on the rules?
It does. Thankfully, Idaho, the state at large, they don't inhibit rentals, short-term rentals from occurring. There's certain rules in place, and then I know there's always laws that try to do by city. Sometimes they'll push to like really regulate and limit. And Airbnb has struggled with that. You see a lot of trends of Airbnb losing their market share in recent years. It's fun. Every year there's something new to learn, right? Like one year it was Airbnb bust. People didn't realize that they were stacking their profits, and they knew they were stacking their profits in cleaning fees and adding to that. And the Airbnb just totally pushes them down in the algorithm if you have a high cleaning fee. And so you have to like keep on track with all these things. But yeah, so as far as that goes, Airbnb has struggled with it, and it does change from city to city, but not significant enough where you have to really be super hyper focused on that. You have to, for the most part, maintain your, you have to have, your why am I blanking on this? Basically, you have to just go by all the lines and dot the I's and cross the T's, and just make sure that you have, all the paperwork done as far as the city goes and the state taxes and all the things. But it's not too difficult to set it up. I still look at short-term rentals as like the Wild West, as opposed to long-term rentals, where it's a lot more buttoned up. But yeah, that's the interesting part about short-term rentals, is it's kind of deregulated for the most part.
There are a lot in Coeur d'Alene, right?
There are
700 or 800 or something like that.
It's pushing that number, yeah. And it just keeps growing. And I think the thing that I'm noticing, at least the trend that's happening now, is people are pushing away from Airbnbs only and looking to get more direct bookings. Social media is really popular. We're actually focused a lot more on that this year, is just really pushing the presence online, the social media. There's places that just do 80% direct bookings from social media.
What is the draw? Is it a money thing, or is it bypassing regulations, or is it more of that's just where the market is right now and it's more relational?
Well, I think with Airbnb too, they've actually put a 15% service charge on hosts. So it's really, that was new to this year. And so we're like, okay, do you stay in that platform just to get that market share, like for your own clients to come in, or do you start to get creative and see how can we get more direct bookings? And people have had just simple strategies to do that and focus on that solely. And that's why it's always important to just keep your tabs on it, because there's even others that are popping up that are not Airbnb or Vrbo.
Yeah. It's obviously, they're looking at it economically, right? I mean, to make a move like that, you know you're going to lose people, but you know that the amount that remain, that 15% is actually going to yield a higher return. So I see what they're doing, and obviously it's less risk, less management and everything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much overhead is there for Airbnb? It's kind of like they have the platform and it pretty much runs itself. So are you seeing a lot of people back out completely, or just kind of limit their use of Airbnb?
Yeah, I would say there's people who are just ignorant of it altogether. They just set it and let it ride. I mean, that's probably the vast majority of people. Like, they're not being aware of what's happening, and they're not taking time. That's why we've felt like it's a huge responsibility to be good stewards as property managers, because a lot of larger companies will just take advantage of you. Like, oh, hey, we're the best rated, largest, and I don't want to, call out any names, but there's definitely ones out there that we've had notice, and we're like, hey, like, they're not actually doing what they're saying they're doing. And even my in-laws, they had a property out here. They're like, it's just not happening. Like, they're promising all these things, but they're not following up on it. So yeah, we I don't know if I'd say there's a huge exodus. It's just trending in a different direction. It's kind of slowly shifting.
You brought up some statistics, and how many Airbnbs have you managed?
So we've managed actually 9 currently. So we're still in the process.
Just up here.
Yeah, and then we have one in South Lake Tahoe in California still, but we're expanding. We're kind of at that phase where we have the systems in place. We're ready to scale. Right. And we have a great team in place as well. So
it's neat that you guys are, because seeing what you guys are doing, like I said, is so much better than what I see out there. You came up with some statistics, and I'm sure it's just based off the ones you've had, on the amount more that they've received based off of previous management and everything else like that. Do you feel like your company is in a position to where, because of how you do it, that you're actually able to cover your fees by increasing that productivity?
That's a good question. Yeah. I mean, the numbers game is definitely like a big driver, and it's also, I mean, for us, it's helpful to be able to we just focus on just doing excellent service. And like, as far as that goes, like, if we can help the customer as well, like, that's a win-win, And so honestly, like, the numbers, that really isn't the number one, even though obviously, like, in an investment, it always comes down to the numbers. But we just try to aspire to even more and more and more as far as like what we're offering people. And I think the result is so much greater. Yeah. And again, like, we talked with some sign company recently, working with them, and like, we had a terrible experience, sadly. And we went to another one, and you're like, yeah, there's not really a high bar when it comes to it. So some things, like, the bar is not very high. Some industries, the bar is not set very high. And I feel like, sadly, that's the case with property management. Yeah. And then in addition to that, it takes work to do it. So a lot of people get into the investments and they say, I want to do short-term rentals, but it takes so much work. You jump into that space and you're like, oh, wow, like, there's a lot of turnovers.
Have you ever owned a rental?
No.
Oh my God. We had one rental down in California, and I'm like, we had long-term rentals.
Okay.
And one of them. And I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I would only talk to, they were like the best tenants that we could have had. And they would call me once every 3 months. I'm like, why am I dealing with, I don't even want to have this looming.
I actually forgot. I take that back. We did have a rental for a little while. We rented it to an older couple, and it was difficult for me because I didn't live in the area. And simple things would happen. And I'm like, I don't want to pay someone to go tighten the nut on the P-trap because that's probably why the sink is dripping down below.
Right.
I don't want to pay a plumber $150 to go do that.
But you had to.
But I have to. Actually, I called my father-in-law because he lived in the same town. But
Family's great.
But yeah, like that was the frustration for me, is dealing with things like that, which I'm sure like you just budget for and you just deal with. But I don't know if I could do it again.
That's why you almost need a tenant that can understand that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise they just call, hey, this is happening. It's like,
Yeah.
please just,
I
the toilet's running, just
Thank you.
reach in there and just fix it.
It's not hard.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the team aspect has really been the game changer for us. Like, we invested heavily in like making sure that we have the right pieces in place. And we started out of state and we've moved here now. So that's a huge change for us. I'm blown away at like the difference, but the blessing in starting further away is that we really were forced to make sure everything was tightened up. Everything was working really well. And so now that we're here, it's like, it's a breeze, you know. I mean, I'm going to say that and everything's going to come crashing down tomorrow. But yeah, like it's just so much different. Kind of going through that exercise of like, how do I do it from afar?
Yeah.
Because if you're living here, you don't want to be burdened all the time. You want to be able to delegate. And that's the trouble with people that are starting their own business, is like, you just can't pull yourself out of it, right?
Yeah.
But this has been a really blessing, a big blessing for us.
Do you know anybody like that?
Let's not talk about it.
A couple questions specifically, especially if people are listening, they're renting something or anything else. I don't know if you can shed light on this stuff or not, but do you see any big red flags in terms of where people have a tendency to have short-term rentals, or is it pretty even across the board versus like somewhere downtown in Coeur d'Alene that is walking distance to the beaches and stuff? Obviously that's always going to probably dominate. Do you have any reservation with people buying an Airbnb that's in a community or in like a Coeur d'Alene place or somewhere like that, where really there's not a lot to do there? You're pretty much going to sleep there and then you're going to head out, right?
Yeah,
and you're going to go see the sights. So
yeah, I mean, that's one thing I love about Airbnb, is that it does a good job of not necessarily discriminating on where your location is. So if you do a good job of marketing the experience, like we have a management place in Washington, Chattaroy, and it's a Airbnb out in the middle of nowhere. It's a barn dominium, but you know, people are sold on like, I want to get out there. I want to just get away. And that's sometimes the appeal. Like, they don't want to be around. And then you talk about like in little communities, I think it's important to do some research ahead of time if that community is really against short-term rentals. In California, it's pretty rough. Like I would actually go into San Luis Obispo, which is an amazing vacation spot in the Central Coast. And, you know, in the rules that the owner's writing up for you, it's like, try not to speak after 8 p.m. outside because the neighbor will get real angry. It's like, now you're just on edge the moment you get there, right? You don't want to give that experience to somebody. And so I think it's important to do a research ahead of time. How receptive is this community? And then also understand that like people, like they don't quite understand if Airbnb gets out of hand, you call the cops, you know, it gets taken care of just as if one of your neighbors was being unruly. Like, I think there's also a misconception, even people who are jumping into it and don't have any experience, or they're afraid to get into it. They're like, I just can't see doing it because Airbnb is all about partying. You know, as people go in and they're going to ruin your house in short-term rentals.
We get that all the time, right? We get people who are like, I don't want to buy there. There's a rental next door or whatever else. So there's an Airbnb. And they're like worried about the excessive noise and all that stuff. But truthfully, a lot of people, when they come to an Airbnb, they pretty much sleep there.
Yeah. That probably really depends on the community. I mean, like Coeur d'Alene, you get a lot of families that are thinking about moving here or whatever. It's not like party town. But I could see that in some places for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think that's like in South Lake Tahoe, that's something we screen a lot more for. Like, that's definitely like a number one thing. But again, I think for people that are trepid about jumping in, I think it's helpful to know that there's a little bit better screening process than maybe there once was. And obviously, if we're monitoring, we tend to have just a Ring camera on the outside, just for holding people accountable. And if you're gonna start pulling out these crazy, there's been some stories of things that I've seen. I'm like, okay, we got to call it. This is not all right.
3 kegs getting brought in the front door. Might want to deal with that. Head that off.
It's Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
Question. Okay, so backing up, for the consumer side, why would someone choose an Airbnb over a hotel, for example?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the experience. Again, when you go to a hotel, they actually are always in direct competition. You're always seeing the back and forth, and you're seeing hotels step their game up quite a bit. Like I think Marriott Bonvoy has made, and Villas is actually like a new thing that's coming out where they're trying to do their Airbnb version.
Oh.
And so like it's fascinating to see how back and forth you're trying to raise the bar. And so Airbnbs, like in an effort, like for us, we had a tablet in there for a while, like just to give people like an experience when they come in. They could check, they could look at the tutorials, they could know the whereabouts and the happenings around the area. We're actually working on like our welcome screen now with you guys to basically have similar to hotels. When they come in, usually hotel welcomes you, has a name, and then a QR code to visit things or check things out. So I like the symbiotic like relationship as opposed to, a direct competitor, because I feel like there's enough to go around for. You're never going to really replicate an Airbnb experience in a hotel. And if you really just want a hotel for a night, you're never going to be able to do that directly for an Airbnb. So I look at it as a little bit of apples and oranges as far as like what we should see it as, because there's enough to go around.
I feel like for the money, a lot of times you get more for the Airbnb too. Like, I mean,
you do
100%.
Unless it's like one night, then
even one night,
like
you find some for $100. I'm like, find a hotel for $100 or less.
That's true.
That's tough.
This is true.
Yeah.
It's tough to go find a hotel
cleaning
for that.
fee as well then, and that's where
Usually,
I'm
I'm just saying it's pretty. To get a whole house, I would still often be like, well, I want a whole house.
right.
Yeah. Hotels, on the other hand, you leave stuff around, and and most people are like, you don't even have a second thought about that. Airbnb is like, oh, that was someone's home. Like, they're probably gonna feel
I
bad
can't
about
even.
Watching my wife clean an Airbnb is painful.
Dude,
Like,
even a hotel room. When I leave a
meticulous.
hotel room, all my towels go in the tub. Every single one of them, I put them all in there. I cannot leave it a mess.
Well, that's amazing.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll like tie up the trash sometimes. I can't.
You're probably the outlier in that.
I don't care about the hotel. I care about the person that's having to clean it.
Well, that's good. That's how you would hope people to think, but like people don't always think that way. So it's training people to like how, and I've seen hotels actually did this, which is fascinating. Like they actually had little tags that said like, save the whales. If you don't want to use your towels all the time, just hang it if you're not gonna have it washed again. And that's an example that I've actually learned how you could kind of train your customer or your clientele to act and perform a certain way.
I haven't seen a whale out here in forever.
It's been a while.
We killed them all.
Yeah, so there's one in Pondray last year, I think. But
There's a whale in Monterey.
Going right through Spokane.
I get that, right? When I go to a hotel, I'm like, I don't want you to clean my room every day.
Yeah.
Stay out.
No,
Like, I don't
get
need
out.
you to give me a new towel. You know what I mean? It like annoys me on a certain level. So I do appreciate an Airbnb over that, because no one's snooping around looking over your shoulder.
Right. And so and there's hosts that try to go to that degree where it's like everything is labeled like, okay, if you want to turn on this light, then here's a whole list, or here's and if you just want to think, then this is what you should do. Like, and you're like, wait a minute, like I can't even just relax. And people just imposing on you. So it's a balance, right? Like it's a really delicate balance.
Yeah.
I feel like too, like when you walk into an Airbnb and you feel like they haven't done jack crap to have you there. Like you just literally walk in and you're like, this is a transaction. You have a tendency to treat that a little different than if you walk in and you're like, hey, here's a couple mints on your pillow, and here's this guide, and here's all this new stuff. And hey, here's our faces. Thanks so much for staying in our place, and give us a call if you have questions. Like, I mean, that is such a difference, right? It's funny. I had a guy talking about with houses. Like if you come into a house and it is disgusting and it's dirty, like you have a tendency to treat it the same way, right?
Yeah.
But if you come into a place and it's dialed, you don't just throw your dishes in the sink. You're like, like you see that and you immediately wash them and put them in the dishwasher, because you're like, I'm not going to mess this up, right?
I wonder what the name is for that. I have no idea.
It's the broken window effect, right? Just in like law enforcement.
Okay.
If you have that house that's all crappy on the street, like it generally breeds that.
Yeah, my father-in-law taught me that with his construction sites. He was in construction all of his life, and we were working on this home, and he was like, okay, every day we sweep up, we clean up everything, we pull everything off, and I'm like, at first I was like, really? Like, that seems a bit excessive. Like, tomorrow it's gonna look like this again. He's like, no, trust me. We do that, and then you start to see, okay, yeah, this would have been a nightmare if we didn't do that.
That's something that's hard. Like, we're trying to teach our kids too, and honestly, I think I go through teaching myself that is that, like, you have to do some things that don't sound fun to actually, and you have to do them repetitively to actually see the benefit from it, right? We're so like self-pleasured. Our kids got cars. And they're now,
man, that's scary.
Right. So they're driving and they're doing a great job. And unlike a lot of parents, like I told my kids, they're like, I got my license. I'm like, I don't care. Having your license doesn't mean jack shit to me. I'm like, what happens is we're going to go to the parking lot. I got cones and we put them through a rodeo like I used to do with PD and fire. And they had to do S turns and they had to do a diminishing alley and a 3-point turn and back in different ways and learn how to do their mirrors. And, we covered anything that was, a camera in their car. I was like, you have to own your vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And so we did that. And my kids drive really, really good now. But even further is, my kids had a flat tire. I said, hey, I don't know why I didn't think about this. I said, I've never even done this with my wife. And it's not me trying to be a jerk. I will do anything I can for my wife, but I also want her to be self-sufficient.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, I take the fire department back to my house. So now in our garage, hanging up on the wall, somebody's going to be like, this guy's crazy. But,
Yeah.
But think about it. I put a checkout list on the wall. And the kids and my wife, we all check out our cars on Sunday. And it takes 5 minutes, and my kids have a checklist. They have to go through. They have to tell me how many miles are on their car, how many miles until the next oil change, right? They change their oil every 5,000 miles. You don't just like you got to put gas in it. You got to put oil in it. They got to know those things, right? For them. They have to check their tires. They have to check their depth, their tread evenness. They have to check the pressure. They have to check the sidewall.
Check to make sure the shotgun's loaded in the,
No, they have to check all, they have to check all their fluids and make sure that they're all there. They have to look underneath their vehicle. They have to check all their lights. They have to look at their windshield and their windshield wipers. And they got a checklist they have to go down and do. And I said, if you don't do it, you don't drive to school on Monday. So this is what it is because, it was a good lesson learned. My son got his car and I never even checked it out.
Yeah.
Well, his alignment was so far off that it wore down on the inside of his tires where there's metal coming out and he had a blowout.
Oh.
I said, if we were checking that once a week, we would have caught that and said, hey, the tread is uneven. Like we would have been able to keep you from having, I don't want my kids to have an issue like that. And so there's a lot of parents that are like, oh yeah, no, just let them do it. And I'm like, hold on.
Yeah, I love that.
My daughter had a flat tire the other day, and I'm like, well, get home, I'll help you change it. She's like, but she got out there, and I'm like, take this shit off. Like, you got a Jeep, it's the easiest one to change, right?
I know how to do it.
So, just very cool. But anyway, so when people take care of things, like it gets them to a point where they have a respect for it, they have an understanding, and I think that translates when people are using your things.
Right.
You let somebody
100%.
use your car, and there's freaking Dorito bags all over the place. I don't know if you guys do that.
No.
But
I don't need Doritos.
Somebody's probably going to throw their trash on your floor, but if they get in and it's nicely swept and it looks beautiful,
Yeah, you're not going to mess that up.
no, you're not, unless it's a rental. No.
Yeah. Well, I love.
Even then, I can't.
Balls to the wall.
I can't.
I love your tie into parenting, really, because that's been honestly. I think people kind of look at me sideways. This might maybe my crazy moment. Like, I had a time where I was with my parents and I helped them train their dogs, and eventually I had kids, and I was like, you know what? Learning to train the dogs. There's some similarities with like how you raise your kids.
They slobber, they shit everywhere. They don't clean anything up.
Yeah.
They leave their toys out. Yeah, dude, I'm with you.
Very accurate.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Like, it really just comes down to how are you living and how are you exhibiting this yourself, and they follow along. And again, I love the example. So we have 5 kids, and for us, it's like people look at us all the time like, "What? You're an outlier. What are you doing? How could you have 5 kids?" I'm like, "How could you have 5 dogs? I don't understand how you do that." But a lot of people do that instead. Yeah. And so I'm like, no, my kids are going to grow up and help me. Like, that's what's going to happen here.
You're building
they're going to contribute. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I love all the analogies to parenting and focusing on being an example, because again, it plays out in everything. It plays out in all your life and how you live.
Well, your kids see you, like you're going to run a successful Airbnb company. We're trying to run a successful real estate company. We're trying to be successful in what we do. And your kids look at that and they're like, oh, and they want to emulate that. And then comes the conversation like, well, how did it get successful? Like, well, it was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. They see the result, right? They may, they know you're gone during the day, but they don't see the effort.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Talk about effort, you guys, man. North Idaho Experience. I'm blown away with.
Well,
you guys are hard workers.
It is only possible because of the team, right? Like no one of us could do it all. It's too much, and having different areas of responsibility. That's Dave's word. He likes that word. Having different areas of responsibility is critical. Like I can't do what Dave does. He could probably do what I do, but he doesn't want to.
No.
And and that's what makes it work.
And I also admire so much. This is what got me into jiu-jitsu originally. Speaking of that earlier, seeing someone like
waiting to talk about jiu-jitsu.
Let's go.
Speaking about Jocko Willink and watching his podcast and hearing him talk, and actually he has a great Warrior Kid podcast. If you have kids, it's amazing. It's
the books were phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
my kids both went up through those books.
Yeah, and it's so cool because he actually uses that Uncle Jake example to like teach like my kids will learn these lessons. Like, did you know Uncle Jake did this? And we're like, wow, that was a very effective use of how he teaches people. But yeah, just seeing like. I've always been admirable of military, law enforcement, any type of service like that. I never got into it. I think my mom just heavily pushed me away from that. And, I love my mom, but like she just didn't encourage me in that. And I think there's so much that you can learn from just serving people to that degree of like, can you really think about waking up and saying, I'm going to literally lay my life down today? Like my life is on the line today.
Right.
Not many people go into work saying that or thinking that and having to have that level of attention to detail. Right. So there's so much respect in that regard.
I love that. Funny you said that. I don't have to think about that very much anymore, right? I mean, every now I kind of go into those daydreaming moments like, oh, what happened if this happened? Yeah. My wife knows when we're in church and I'm holding her hand. So I do security at church and she'll feel my hand like starting to tense up. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm daydreaming. I'm like, if a guy comes from this side, where am I going to have to be? How do I get him? I literally go into this and then I'm like all tense. It's like when you're watching a fight. You're watching jits, like you're gripping like, oh, you're just on it, right? Yeah. I do the same thing with daydreaming. I'm like, okay, shit, I
am so bad with that.
I mean, that probably comes from being in the field doing that, because you have to. Like, I had a buddy who was he went to Iraq and he was a sniper, and I went to have a drink with him at a bar, and I was like always watching him, like, why is he always glancing? Like, he's always glancing when he's like, you know what? Like, that is just every room I go into, I have to watch people's hands and look at and analyze it. Because I can't just...
You can pick out a former cop dude in any bar.
Yeah.
They're making eye contact with every person. I get it all the time. I feel uncomfortable at bars because I'll look at somebody and be like, what are you looking at? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get a fight.
Eye contact is rare. Eye contact is rare nowadays.
Shut it off either, I've noticed. No. Like once you are, you take that pill or whatever, it's like, I can't shut it off. And my wife has had to just adapt because it's annoying. And it's hard because sometimes, I'll be at Costco or whatever, and I'm like massively overstimulated because there's too many things to look at.
And I can't imagine.
I can't focus on what she's talking to me about. So I'm just like in my own little
Boardman's like that, dude. We'll still be driving around and be like, oh, damn, that's a good car.
Oh, he's terrible.
That's a good car. I'm like, dude, you're not on duty. Like, calm down. I'm telling you, dude. He's like, that's a freaking Gold Impala.
Stop that all day long.
Yeah, if you drive a Gold Impala or a white Honda Accord, Eric's going to stop you.
That's awesome.
He drives his own Accord, and he's like, I'm going to get pulled over today. Just watch. Goodness.
Yeah, it's you've definitely rewired your brain. Talking about earlier, right? Like your chemistry is different. You weren't born that way. Maybe you were. I don't know. But like, I think that it actually changed, something changed in you.
Yeah.
And, we need more protectors in this day and age. Honestly, like bringing back biblical masculinity, bringing back these examples of like strong fatherhood, and, like we have the examples across the board of what that looks like, right? Like people always talk about it nowadays and look at like toxic masculinity. It's like, okay, well, how about this? Like, let's make sure we don't lose masculinity altogether and trying to wipe out toxic masculinity, right?
It's such a fallacy too, because, you know, I think about it's like some of the most masculine men that I know. And yes, there's a strength component, a danger component, but it's you know, it's under control. But there's also a deep love, like, and that tells me everything, right? Like, it's not. So the toxic thing, I'm like, that's made up nonsense, dude. Like, to be truly manly is to love deeper than anything as well.
Yeah. Well, people today have turned into say, well, if you're manly, then you put women down, or you become it's like, hold on, man. No. You're just making shit up now. This is not how it works. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty awesome when you're a man and you're the guy that takes off your coat and puts it down in the rain, right?
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
Right.
You don't see that stuff. It's not. Everybody wants to sissify men. I joke about the Notebook, which is a very sad movie. Great movie, by the way.
Brought some tears, yeah.
But I joke with my wife, you know, I'm like, they try to sissify guys and turn them into this ultimately like so compassionate and so weak a lot of times. I told my wife, I go, we're never making out in the rain. I mean, that's literally what's on the cover of this thing. And you know what? That's stupid. Nobody does that. If I were to take you out in the rain and try to kiss you right now, you'd be like, I want to go inside. You'd be like, me too. This is freaking dumb. Right? And a dude would be like, I'm not getting out of here. I'm not sitting out in the rain. I'm going to, yeah. But it's funny you talk about that, because he talked about biblical masculinity. And something that there's a pastor out there, you can look it up. It's called a sissified Jesus.
Wow.
And it's really cool, dude. This guy gets up there and he is just hardcore, and he's like, my Jesus is not a sissy. I'm like, y'all paint him as this guy that's just like, oh, so passive. Like, bro, he flipped tables. He'll take you head on. Like, this is not a person that's willing to back down from the most evil, most rough, most like, this is not somebody that walks on eggshells, dude. This is somebody that when they step, there's an earthquake. Like, this is not the person that we're meant to be. Yeah. And so I love that, because a lot of people look at this, that you're supposed to be, like, if you're a Christian, you should be really passive and really just, you know, and it's like, no.
Do you think there's an intentional move to turn men less masculine?
100%.
For control purposes?
100%. Yeah. 100%. I mean, it really comes back to the family unit. God designed this beautiful family unit, and he decided to present himself as a heavenly father so that we can actually model after and have his son and then the children, and that we would actually be able to experience that here on earth, right? Being a father, having a wife, having children. And it's amazing, because if we ever have any question about it, like, well, how did he do it? You know, you go to that. And when you brought up Jesus flipping the tables, actually one of my elders from our church and where we moved from, New Covenant Christian Fellowship, he told me that he's like, well, if you read just before that, Jesus overlooks the people and he's weeping over them, or he's mourning over them.
Right.
So he's like, in your anger, have you ever, you know, the Bible says, do not sin. In your anger, do not sin. So what does that look like? Right. But there's like a righteousness that comes from like a deep love and a care and concern that's willing to go into the awkward situation to say, look, this is completely wrong. This has to be flipped. This has to be done away with. Right. And like being willing to go there because you actually love someone enough to show them that, right?
And to say no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people think that, they feel this way, or they want this one, you know, don't tell them no. It's like, well, it's not about whether or not they feel good about it. It's especially with your kids. People don't want to tell their kids no.
Yeah.
I love telling my kids no. And it's not because I want to exert dominance over them, but one, I want them to understand that, hey, this is a bad decision. One, there is a pecking order. I've told my kids before, when they haven't done what I've asked, I've literally pulled them aside and said, what's my role in your life? They're like, well, you're dad. I'm dad. Can you explain to me what that is? Like, what is a dad? What would you want to be as a dad? What is my role? Well, you're to protect me, to do, you know, that little stuff. I'm going, you're not allowing me to do the job that you're asking me to do.
Wow.
You're not allowing me to be a father because you want to rebel, because you do not want, you're not honoring me. You think I'm doing this. You're identifying why I should be making these moves, and then you're telling me no.
Yeah.
And you're fighting me on it, and you're not allowing me to be a father.
Yeah.
And my job is to be a father, not to be your friend. I want to be your friend. I deeply, passionately want to be your friend, and I want to be the person you can call at 3 a.m. when you screwed up.
Yeah.
but I'm not here to just make you feel good. That's what mom's for.
Yeah.
And moms are great for that. And that's not a put down. There needs to be somebody like that can say, hey, and be that consoler. There needs to be that, but there also needs to be somebody with masculinity that says, no, we're not going to do this. And here's the reason why. Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all met the kids who have never been told no. And they're not pleasant to be around.
Yeah. Well, gosh, Jordan Peterson, I felt said a really good example when he said, like, okay, make sure that your kids are not a nuisance to be around.
Yeah.
The simple thing that you can do as a parent is make sure that your kid's not the one when people walk in the room and see your kid, they turn the other way.
That I didn't say it as eloquently, but my whole goal was to raise kids that are not assholes, and I've achieved that. But you're right. There's certain kids that come around, and you're like, I want to throw you.
Your kids are extremely pleasant at our house. I know they're not at your house, and mine can be buttholes at my house. But I hope when they go to your house, they're very respectful.
Yeah, absolutely
right?
they are. Yeah, and mine are fine at my house too. It's really not like that was a big goal.
And what you get, what you help them get, right? Like, so you said what your role as a father, like with your child, if you neglect that role and you don't say no, then you're essentially cutting off that connection that they could be making with other people that want to pour into them, right? Because again, I think when you give those boundaries and those structures, then when they walk in the room and someone actually is like, I want to spend time with your kid, not in a creepy way, but in a like, I want to actually pour into you and help you learn some of the wisdom I know, then they're just gleaning all sorts of nuggets from that person who's older than them.
Yeah.
And we can cut that off by actually not doing our job, so.
And that's the hard thing. It's funny. I asked my son today to go to the dump for me. Right? He's doing his internship, and we had a bunch of dust at the new podcast studio that we're getting ready to move into. And so we just canceled everything today, and he's off school. I said, hey, I need you to go to the gym, have a good day, do your thing. I said, I need you to run to the dump for me. And he's like, okay. Man, and he's said okay quite often, but for the first 3 months that we moved up there, can you go, how do I have to, can we do it? So the problem is that it doesn't matter if it's Airbnbs, it doesn't matter if it's your job in real estate, it doesn't matter if it's parenting, like you have to be consistent because people choose to not continue because it's hard. And because it's hard, they stop and they go, you know what, I'm not even going to have them do it. You have to keep doing it. If you want the result, you have to be consistent. Now I'm like, hey, thanks, man. He's like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
It's no problem. I'm like, this is...
That's a win.
Let's go, dude.
That's amazing.
And I'm coming home tonight, like super appreciative. Like, thank you, dude. You saved me 10 minutes, but I appreciate it.
It's amazing. I mean, it's equally as hard to be that parent, right? To have follow through. That was, growing up or raising my kids and having friends with similar age kids, many times they'd lay the law down and I'd be like, you're not going to follow through with that. Like,
my wife talks about that all the time. Yeah.
You've just set yourself up for complete failure. Like either set a goal that you will follow through with, or damn it, like no matter what, follow through with what you said, because that is everything.
Yeah.
They will remember that.
That's perfect.
And yes. And we've always been like, that's something in our household we have always done. And it sucks sometimes as a parent. Cause you're like, I don't want to enforce this.
Right. Am I going to leave the restaurant right now?
Right. I have to, because that's the lesson they're going to get from this. If you fail one time, I mean,
yeah,
I've cried in front of my daughter before. I've cried in front of my daughter because I've had to take something away so special to her. And I've actually cried in front of her and she's like, and I'm like, dude, this isn't just you. Like, as your dad,
it hurts you equally, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's the worst. I'm like, you're my little baby girl, and now I got to take this away from you?
Yeah.
But if I don't, she's grounded right now, by the way. She can't have any more sleepovers for the remainder of the semester because she got a C. And she's like, a whole semester? I go, your C was a full semester commitment. So the punishment is a full semester punishment.
Fair.
Like,
that seems reasonable.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not in all the light of things, all the things she gets to do. This is one small thing. Right. I didn't take her phone. She still gets to see her boyfriend.
Yeah.
But
she still gets to go to Australia in a couple
still gets to go to Australia. I'll take her with me there.
Okay, we'll do that. I appreciate you guys. I always love having guys who've gone ahead of me with the machete in the jungle and seeing these examples that have played out and being reminded. Because like when you said, just not following through, not having follow through. My wife has actually wanted to write a book with her dad called like Missed Opportunities. And she's taken notes of all these little missed opportunities that people don't realize that those are adding up over time. And just to see and to know, like, wow, that plays out in the right direction.
Yes.
It's encouraging,
Yes.
you know, so I appreciate
know there's
that.
no manual for raising kids. I mean, there are books, of course, but every situation is different. There's no like, here's the right way to do it.
I know
You're
perfectly.
kind of just feeling it out.
I know perfectly how to raise a 15-year-old daughter, but she's 16 now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you need to
On
learn
the
a whole
chapter.
nother.
Yeah, I got something else to deal
New
with.
book.
I figured it out though, and now I'm like, oh, now you're 16. Dang it.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I always, at the end of their year, I'm like, well, I know how to parent you now for that age, and now we're on to a new one. So,
Well, that's the consistent thread that I've seen of people who are actually wise is like another friend of mine that he said, he's like, you know, early on, I had these long prayers over my kids and it was like very eloquent. But then like as they got older, he was just like, I would just pray, Lord, just help me. God, just help me.
Yeah.
Let me just do my job the way you want me to do it. That's it. You know, and just seeing like that humility that grows, even like people in the Bible and the examples you see, it's like they're becoming less and less. Like, you know, Peter, like, or actually, no, sorry, the Apostle Paul, like he was like the greatest of the apostles. And then he's the greatest of the sinners, you know,
he was a
and
terror before then. Yeah.
yeah. So like he actually spoke less high of himself in the journey of his faith. And so, yeah, I think like you said, how it plays out in all of our lives, like just having that humility. You're talking about that peace that you've been having lately, like
dude,
this
that's
past week or whatever. And it's like, that's what people want, right? That's what it means to like actually shine your light and show it off. It's like, you can't really describe it.
Right.
And that's when people talk about like our Airbnb business or what we're doing with Lantern, it's like, I can't describe it. God is scripting something here that I've just learned. I just have to get myself out of the way. I have a funny story, actually. When I was at a church, it kind of went in a bad direction. And I know a lot of people have stories that relate to that. One of the things that one of the leaders told me as I was leaving and they were actually kicking me out, which is a whole other story. But they said, you're going to amount to nothing. Your legacy is going to be nothing. And you're just going to be a nothing. And
That's positive.
I was like, okay, well, I'll process that. That's a tough word, I suppose. And then the very first thing at the church that we joined after that God led us to, one of the elders said that we're all running to become nothing and for God to become everything. Like John 3:30, he must increase, but I must decrease. And I was like, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. Like, that was actually a prophetic word. What they said for me to be nothing, that was actually that's the goal. And so it's been like my mantra is like, yeah, let's race to become nothing. Let my name not be what everyone remembers, but God. And it's a beautiful thing when you take yourself out of the picture.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to stress about all the
I
details.
like that.
Yeah.
I love it when people come to us with stuff with our business. And like he was saying, when people are like, oh, it's really, how are you? I'm like, man, it's everybody else, dude.
Yeah.
It's everybody else.
100%.
Yeah. I'm like, I could probably disappear, man, and this team would freaking just rock it. It's just a bunch of amazing people that are there.
There's so much value in that too, like actually enjoying going to work and being uplifted.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times in my life when work was a cancer in my, on me and just ate away at me and I hated it.
Yeah.
But I don't have that anymore.
Well, you get handcuffed.
That's probably why you're feeling at peace.
You get handcuffed in the previous jobs. When we were in public safety, both fire and law enforcement, you get handcuffed by politics, by procedures, by the law, which is tough. That's what you're sworn to uphold.
And the golden handcuffs.
And the golden handcuffs, yeah, absolutely.
For the pension
trap.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So you get handcuffed in what you signed up to do. I want to serve the public. I want to keep this community safe. I want to save people. I want to, whatever. Saving babies, what I say. And then you don't necessarily get to do what you want to do. We're now, we're in real estate and we didn't get into it for other reasons. And we're like, well, let's have fun. Let's meet some people. Let's make some good relationships, right? Make a living, but let's make it something that's fun. And we don't have handcuffs. Now we actually, because we work for ourselves, we have the ability to treat people the way that we want. And we have the ability to build a relationship with people the way we want.
Yes.
And I don't have many restrictions or regulations on how to do that.
Yeah.
And then we have this, which is actually what we love to do.
It leads you to the craziest places. Like about a month ago, I was with Eric, and we're starting a judicial watch called Idaho Court Watch. The website's coming soon, and the goal is to hold judges accountable. It's going to be nonpartisan, information only, because it's very hard to find information on judges. Wow. So we will be a conduit of that. We have some great partners with that. Jordan Eric's stepdad.
Oh, nice.
Solid dude.
Never heard anything like this. It's amazing.
It exists in other places, so we're not reinventing the wheel. But we're just feeling it out and making relationships along the way. Eric and I found ourselves in a meeting upstairs in Nosworthy's. The power was out randomly that day. There's a computer with a Zoom, and a Idaho senator is on the call. And then there's like 5 attorneys in the room, a judge in Coeur d'Alene. And I'm looking around. Eric and I are wearing hoodies. Everybody else is in a suit. And I'm like, how the frick did we get here? Like, it's weird. But it's just a function of meeting people and pulling the thread. I always say that, like, I'm just pull the thread, see where it goes. And you don't know. And that's the beauty of doing what we do now. We can do that.
Yeah.
As a cop, like, I couldn't really do that.
Did you vote recently up here? Well, do you have permanent residence up here? I don't know.
We actually were in the process of changing that over. But yeah, we invested in 2022 originally in a home, and then that's the home that we're moving into.
Okay.
So
nice.
we're really excited.
Well, we, the last time, the reason they're doing this is because, who did you vote for a judge? Well, when you ask most people, they don't really have any information as to why they voted for it. They're like, well, I like North Idaho the way it is, and so that's the incumbent. I'll vote for that. But they don't understand, if you want law and order, then you have to have enforceability of the law and order. Just like you said with kids. If you say that you give them an order and then you're not going to enforce it, it doesn't mean jack crap.
Yeah.
So by having judges that will not put somebody in jail or will act like unbelievably reduce a sentence to somebody that's been a violent criminal or hurt people physically or psychologically or anything else like that, or sexually, to have people that will not uphold the law, that's tough.
Yeah.
Even when somebody's found guilty, you're like, hold on. And like, we reduced it. And this guy's just got probation.
Man.
This is a person that we want off the street. This is a person that needs rehab. This is a person that needs help.
Right.
And it like impacts the community in such a deep way.
Very deep.
What they do. So it's so important. And like you said, there's no information. This started, I went to vote. This is probably 2 cycles ago. And I'm like looking at this judge. I'm like, there's no information anywhere that's provided to you. You Google their names. There's like nothing. Like, they're ghosts. And I'm like, that's freaking weird.
Yeah.
So everybody just votes for the incumbent. There are at least 3 judges, and I'm not going to say any names because that's not our goal here. But in this community,
go for us.
There's 3 judges in the community, at least, that are notoriously bad. One is not allowed to sit in on criminal cases anymore because of things he has done in his professional career.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right? I tell people that, and it blows their mind.
Wow.
So our goal is to compile information. We're going to send out a lot of surveys. So a lot of this information will come from people that work in the courts, bailiffs, public defenders, prosecutors, other judges, folks that sit in on a jury, things like that. And then compile that information and rate the judges based on that, put that rating out to the public. We're not supporting anyone. We're not downplaying whatever.
No, just give information.
Just giving the information, letting the public make their own informed decision so that we can stay nonpartisan. We can and this is not, I'm pointing at myself, this is not North Idaho Experience doing that. This is Idaho Court Watch, which will be its own nonprofit, separate entity, not us. We will help provide that information to the public, but it's huge and it's extremely important. Like I said, we're not the first ones to do this, but it's incredibly important to preserve our way of life up here because that's definitely one way that our values and lifestyle gets infiltrated over time.
It's funny when I'm looking at all these voting results from the previous one, and I'm not sure I see any judges on here. But what I will tell you is that you're seeing things like somebody want to vote with Coeur d'Alene City Mayor. Here's one. You have somebody that want to vote with 3,200 votes. That's for mayor. Tell me that more people vote for a judge. I will not believe you. So by putting together something, it's not about influencing the entire county, right? Because what we've shown with voting nowadays is that not everybody cares. And like he said, you go down this ballot, there's more people that will say, well, I'm not going to vote for a judge because I don't know. I don't want to cast the wrong thing.
Right.
So your voting diminishes even further. So in a city, to have 3,200 people vote and now you're mayor because you got 3,200 votes.
It's crazy.
3,200 votes. So if we can get 1,000 people to just be educated and vote based off the education and the information that we can pull, whether it's for or against people, right? Just basic information.
Yeah.
Well, now you're starting to change a community, right? Now you're starting to give people information, and people have stopped voting because they don't have information. I mean, even look at the last presidential election. Was that really about policies? I'm so tired of people telling me, well, I like this person's policy. I'm like, name the policy.
Right.
What's the policy you love? I just want to know. Then they'll say something like the economic policy. I'm like, have you read it? Tell me one item in that policy specifically that you're even familiar with.
Wow.
It's not. It's a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get back to educating people to say, look, now it's no longer a popularity contest. Now it's a results-based contest. Now it's based off your history. Okay, your voting history, how you put people away, how you have upheld the Constitution, everything else. Now you're not just voting because somebody says, oh, this guy's a good dude. Now you're voting because of actual merit.
Yeah.
I think it will have a huge effect, and I think the effect, even rating judges is cool. It will provide information to the public. Here's something that's kind of sucks: is a lot of these judges run unopposed. So, yeah, you cannot vote. It doesn't matter. They're gonna just get the spot again.
Is there any qualification to run for a judge?
Yes, you have to. You have to.
Just wondering. It's an elected official. I'm like, what do you have to do?
And it's not necessarily, it's a prestigious position, but it's not a desirable position. If you're an attorney working in town making $500,000 a year, you're going to take a massive pay cut. You're going to have to work a lot. They're super busy. So it's hard to get people to want to run. I think they have to be a practicing attorney in Idaho for a minimum of 5 years before they can even apply. So you can't, that's the problem. You can't get some stud attorney from whatever other state who moves here and he's like, you know what, I'm going to bring my, they can't do it. So that's the challenge that we're running into, is finding qualified people that want to do that.
I'm just glad I can't run for a judge, because I would be an absolute disaster.
Hilarious.
Like, everybody sit down. This is super uncomfortable right now. Just look, what's facts? Let's go. Your Honor. Don't call me Your Honor. This is freaking, you're making it weird. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm also not wearing this robe.
I think many people would watch that show.
I'd probably be in this.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, "Are you wearing a North Idaho Arms shirt?" Be like, "Yeah, but don't worry about that." What was your problem? Illegal carrying? Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So just kind of get back around to everything. So Airbnb, what would you say, Kevin, sorry to put you on the spot. What would you say that the biggest thing that you guys do that really stands out as the difference in terms of how you provide service to people that are either coming in town with the Airbnb, or your service to clients that are using you for rental management?
Well, it's part of what we're working with you guys on, is what we're offering to people as far as like, what do you do when you're here, right? So we want to give people that come and stay with us that feeling like, I got to know Coeur d'Alene, right? If I haven't visited here before. And I'm really excited in partnering with you guys on that, because it's really I think that'll be super helpful. And that's what people look for and they really love. Yeah. So, having that relocation guide that shows what they need, just the whole gamut, right? And I'm exploring that more. There's actually really interesting stuff that we're working on, even with like where you could provide like all their shopping needs ahead of time that will show up to their place.
Ooh.
So when you get there, the fridge is
that's
stocked.
cool.
Very cool.
So that's actually a new thing. I think Airbnb is going to try to push that, but we're working with another app to like kind of set that up. But again, just thinking about like, what do I like when I go there, right? Like my wife and I, we ran a family home daycare from 2018 to 2023. And when I started doing that, like I always love systems, apps. That's another thing that we offer. Is just transparency all across the board. Like I'm not trying to hide anything. I want the cleaners to feel like they're on board and they know the vision. I want the owners to feel like they're on board.
Right.
If they have a owner portal, they could check everything and know all the stats. That type of thing. I want everyone to feel like at any given time, there's no questions in the mix, right? They just have like complete clarity. So like with our daycare, we did the same thing. We had a system. It was kind of like a Facebook newsfeed for your kids. Like you get to know all the little things that they're doing throughout the day. And parents, again, like what would I want if I left my kid with someone's family for the day? I'd want to know that they're getting all the things, that they're doing all the stuff. And it was actually a funny video for this app that they had, where it's like, you ask your little child at the end of the day, what'd you do today? They're like, like you have no answers. Like, And you're just like, well, I guess that was just a wash. Like, I have no idea what you did today.
That doesn't get any better all the way through senior year of high school, by the way.
You never know.
Yeah.
Until 9 o'clock when you're trying to go to bed. And then they're like, hey, let me tell you about something real quick. You want to talk about quantum physics? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Oh, my goodness. That's
Tell me a bedtime
Well, that's
story.
pretty cool. Hopefully we can help provide some information so when people come to town, they know where to go, where to eat, where to get your hair did, where to do all that stuff. And just so you guys know, if you want to find Kevan and Warm Simple Stay, obviously your website, Simple Warm Stay. Sorry, get the words back.
You're good.
They're on our app. We have a new app, North Idaho Experience. You can download it on Android and on Apple platforms. Anyway, so you can go on there, and then we have a whole list of resources on the bottom right where you can go down and you can find people that we have had good experiences with that do a great job providing service to people around in the community. So feel free to take a look at that as well. That's a cool opportunity that allows us to, once again, just partner with people in sense of getting people in front of you. You can work your own magic and try to convince them that you're the best one out there. But,
hey,
we're all about it because you've done a great job. We love what your whole platform is about, and we'd love to continue to support that.
Really appreciate it. And, I just always say, like, I'm an open book. Like, if you come to me, you ask questions, anything, right? Like, I didn't even expect when I started to scale, it was like this friend just had questions. And then you get on a call with them and then they're like, can you manage our property for us? And it just immediately transfers to that because I'm not trying to oversell myself. I just want to treat whatever you give us like as a good steward and actually take care of it if it was our own. Like, we want you to feel that, and that's the type of thing we would want, so that's how we kind of approach it.
That's awesome. I love it.
Appreciate you guys giving us this platform to connect.
Yeah, we'll drop the link to your website in the show notes as well, so people can find you. So if you have a rental in Coeur d'Alene, you're looking for the best property manager in town with a killer mustache.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm working on it.
How do you manage that at jiu-jitsu? That's what
it doesn't get managed. It gets smashed.
I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah.
If I roll with you, dude, I'm going
to
cross face like crazy, man. I'm just like,
we need to do. Where do you train right now?
I'm actually looking for a gym or academy. So I was in Darcy O'Leary in Livermore, where we were from, but then I'm missing it so much, man. It's like you go through withdrawals. You're like,
come do some drop-ins at a few different gyms. He's got a couple good ones. Come to Gracie Baja Hayden. Let me know someday. Come down and do a drop-in with us. Yeah, it's a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got my gi, no gi. I've got it already. Just tell me.
Sweet.
It's in the car. I'm ready to go. No, I'm just kidding.
I love it, dude. Well, thank you, Kevan. We appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for the donuts, man.
Yeah, hey, anytime.
Lantern Donuts.
Yeah, hit them up.
I'm going to go eat another one.